Well, it keeps getting better and better for everybody here. Actually, no, that's just a straight up lie. It's only getting better for the Russians and for people that speak Russian as well. As now we can pan up here for a second. London has fallen. No, I'm not talking about the movie. I'm talking about this board game here where London was just captured. But I'll get to that in a second. So we finished round 10. Also, that's the carnage from that battle. We finished round 10. This is beginning of round 11, and the Russians were blessed to be picked to go first. So obviously they have a little bit more money than usual because the British were sitting with 50 IPCs because they haven't gone in countless rounds now. So we're building, a couple more carriers, building up a whole whack ton of airplanes, building an air base and all that. We're saving $1. So it's yeah. What do the Russians do for the? They went first and third, and obviously it's just mainly just them coming down here, cleaning up Southeast Asia, getting more units eastward, and all that, and they're just building up more navy. So that was the first couple turns. Anzac, however, will come down here for a bit. Anzac actually got to go twice, but it doesn't matter. So they came over on their first turn, took Java, and they also shot up here to the Line Islands, all the way up there. And then on their second turn, they took Malaya, which obviously was taken back by the Russians. And they also snuck up here and they took Southeast Mexico. Now, I was hoping that I could go again as Anzac and just walk into central U.S. That'd be great, but that didn't happen. Otherwise, I would have just went to Central America, and hopefully the Americans wouldn't be able to reach me there, but it wouldn't matter because, as you can see, the Americans went 4 times. So, A for effort there, but... And then, obviously, the Anzac Navy that was once there got zapped out of existence by the Americans so that we don't have to deal with them taking away all my money there from the islands and all that. And that's pretty much it. So Anzac is also practically out of the game. Realistically, unless they get to go 20 times in a row, which I kind of doubt with how it's been. Panning over here to America. So same thing with them, like the Russians with their first 2 turns, they kind of just did some build up and all that. Nothing spectacular. But we'll go in, so on turn 7, the Americans went, and they went into Korea, and yeah, the Russians got 12 AA gun shots, and half of them hit, and they killed 6 fighters. So honestly, the Americans got their goose cooked there and pulled out their aircraft, whatever aircraft they had left, and obviously the Russians won. They had like 9 infantry, like a tank, and then obviously they were able to fly up the rest of the Air Force, bring in a couple more units, build more. But as you can tell, I'll get to that in a second. So that was turn 7. Then on turn 8, what did the Russians do on turn 8? Ooh, what did the Russians do? Oh, yes, that's right. I was like, wait a minute. I knew they did something. They eviscerated the Americans out of West Africa now and all that. So, land connection for the Americans to the Western Hemisphere has been severed as well. I mean, they still had their shuck going in the Soviet Far East, but looks like they're not going to be having it going in West Africa anymore. And also, the Russians came down here and nuked their navy earlier. Actually, it was on their first turn of round 10. The Russians came down here. They split their subs up. They killed the Navy in 87 and the Navy off the eastern U.S. as well. So I think it's going to be pretty hard for the Americans to get back onto Eurasia here at this point. But so that happened on turn 8 for Russia. Then turn 9, as you can see with this marker here, Americans went back in, tried again with Korea. They took everything that they had. They still had infantry left over up there in the Far East and all that. Brought all their infantry in. They had was it like 12 ground units? Was that 369? 6. Actually, they had like almost 18 infantry roughly, or 16, something like that. And whatever aircraft they still had left went back into Korea again, and this time they took it fairly handily. Actually lost a couple of aircraft there on the last round to try to keep as many ground units on as we can so we can actually try to hold it, which I don't think we will, because now the Russians get to go first on round 11, and they got quite a bit there. Those are 3 tanks and 3 mechs up there. You got a couple more tanks and mechs, 2 tacticals up there that can reach. I don't think they're going to hold. And then also on Russia's last turn of round 10, they went up there, finally liberated the Far East. It's been so many rounds since they lost that, but they finally got all their home country back. We'll see how long that lasts. But the real kicker here is on turn 10 for the Russians. They took London. So the Londonese, the British had 5 AA guns, and obviously they got to shoot all 15 rounds. Out of all 15 shots, unlike the Russians in Korea, they only got 1